So we are still in our public hearing. We are going to move on to item 26 in the public hearing at this time.
Mr. Chairman, just note for the record, Commissioner Hartung was present by phone for the earlier item. He's not present
Correct.
by phone for this item.
Thank you, Mr. Liparelli. And just to clarify Mr. Liparelli's comments, Commissioner Hartung joined us for the short public hearing on item 25 and is no longer with us for the remainder of the meeting. So we are back. So Mr. Manager, if you could take us away, public hearing.
Yes, this is item 26. This is public hearing. A public hearing for possible action, second reading, and possible adoption of an ordinance amending ordinance number 1000 in order to change the boundaries of District 24 groundwater remediation.
Right. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item actually contains two ordinances. I'll read them both and give them both their appropriate numbers. First up is an ordinance that will be Ordinance 1594, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1000 in order to change the boundaries of District number 24 groundwater remediation and providing other matters relating thereto. And this was previously Bill 1778. The next ordinance within this board item will be ordinance number 1595, an ordinance imposing a fee on the parcels of land in Washoe County, Nevada, District 24, groundwater remediation to pay the costs of developing and carrying out a plan for remediation and prescribing other matters relating thereto. This was previously Bill number 1779.
All right. This time, the public hearing, I have Mrs. Kathy Brandhorst signed in for the public hearing. Seeing her not in attendance, I will close the public hearing. I'm not close the public hearing, but close public comment. Bring it back to the board. Is there discussion from the board in regards to this item? Commissioner Herman.
On this, I was wondering if we could see where the boundaries are on this.
Okay.
Wasn't able to tell from the map in here.
Staff report. Do we have staff that could answer that?
Good afternoon. Chris Benedict from the Community Services Department. I'm the Remediation District Program Manager. In your staff report, there is a map. I believe it is.
I just couldn't tell, just exactly where it was.
Well,
You can just give me a description of, okay, it's south of something and west
Yeah,
and east and north of something.
the simple answer is the boundary is the same as the Truckee Meadows Water Authority service area boundary,
Okay,
if that answers your question.
okay. Very well, thank you.
Anything further, Commissioner Herman?
Nope.
Okay. Seeing nothing further, looking for a motion at this time.
Move to approve. Ordinance 1594.
All right.
And 1595?
I thought I heard 95 and 1595.
Yeah, there's two ordinances, so.
Thank you.
So I have a motion to approve ordinance 1594 and 1595. I will call for the vote. All those, I have a second. Thank you, Vice Chair Berger.
I was trying.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. Mr. Manager, at this time, we are going to move back to item 24. No, I'm sorry, item 23. Item
My
23,
fault.
please. We'll close the public hearing and move back to agenda item 23. Thank you.
Item 23 is for possible action. This is introduction and first reading of an ordinance approving a second amendment to a development agreement, Terra Sante.
All right. Do anybody from staff, do you commissioners need a report on this item?
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Would
thank
you like a reading, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Madam Clerk, thank you.
This will be Bill number 1780, an ordinance approving a second amendment to a development agreement, Terra Sante, originally approved in 2008, Development Agreement DA 08-005, ordinance number 1367, and first amended in 2010, amendment of conditions AC 10-002, ordinance number 1435, to extend the deadline for filing the first final map to June 6, 2021. No, 2021, with one additional one-year extension granted at the discretion of the Director of Planning and Development. The project includes a total of 6 contiguous parcels located approximately 1.7 miles south of Mount Rose Highway at the terminus of Callahan Road. The parcels total approximately 394 acres and is subject to the Rennon and Bartas specific plan development standards. The parcels are located within the Forest Area Plan and are situated in Section 11, Township 20 North, Range 19 East, MDM, Washoe County, Nevada. APN 047-14103, 20.123 acres. Parcel 047-14106, 43.177 acres. Parcel 047-14107, 20.126 acres. Parcel 047-141-11, 183.377 acres. Parcel 047-14112, 85.322 acres. And parcel 148-13004, 41.937 acres.
Okay. I'm looking for an introduction.
Move approval, or move introduction of Bill 1780.
I have an introduction of Bill 1780. All right, Mr. Manager, we are on to item 24.
Item 24 is discussion and possible direction of staff regarding legislation or legislative issues from the 2017 Nevada legislative session, or such legislative issues as may be deemed by the chair of the board to be of critical significance to Washoe County. Before Mr. Rogers begins, just a note, we are still in that time period where bills are being reviewed by the governor. So there are bills that may be signed, may be vetoed. We had intended today's, since this is the first meeting we've had since the legislature ended, we thought it might be good to just give a very high level on some topics that may be of interest, but we'll bring a full report soon to the board that covers all of legislation that has impact on Washoe County.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, for the record, Al Rogers, Office of the County Manager. To follow on Manager Slaughter's comments, yes, this today will just be a high-level review. What we've provided to you are those bills of interest in a very similar format that you've seen before throughout the session. We have categorized them for hopefully ease in terms of finding each bill, but we do have 11 bills of interest. We have categorized elections, marijuana, labor, public safety, on and on. I would like to, because of the timing of this, and again to Manager Slaughter's comment, things are still in that window where the governor still has the ability to veto and sign bills. So looking at your document, I would note that even since we provided this to you on the second page, SB 246, which was the CMAR bill, was actually approved. We noted it, there was an ad enrollment, so that one has been signed by the governor. CMAR, instead of expiring this year in 2017, has been extended to 2021. Moving on AB 375, which is the Truckee Meadow Flood Authority. That one was also signed by the governor in the last few days. Moving over to elections, even though we did note it at the top of the page, AB 519, which provided $1.7 million for purchasing of voting machines for Washoe County, that was signed just on June 8th by the governor. Moving through the document over to marijuana, most of those were at enrollment as indicated by your document. I can tell you that SB 487, which was a discussion point earlier today in terms of the up to 3% tax at all three levels of, cultivation, production, and retail, was signed by the governor, SB 487 again, and SB 344, which is the marketing or labeling of marijuana products, was also signed by the governor. Moving over to the next page on AB 422, still under the category of marijuana, that provision which was transferring the responsibility from Health and Human Services to taxation, was signed by the governor. Moving into quickly the AB 267, which was heart and lung, that was signed by the governor. And then under law enforcement, AB 97, which was the rape kit bill, that one was also approved on June 8th. Testing of that will begin on October 1st of this year, and tracking doesn't kick in until 2021. So most of this will continue as we talk in our complete update in July, more robust conversation, but to the manager's point, we wanted to point these out today at the completion of the session. And then wrapping up, I think on the last page, did we have any? Yes, on the last page, the Cooperative Extension Bill, AB 407, that was vetoed by the governor, if you want to update that one. So with that, as indicated, we will be back in the month of July with a full and comprehensive report. We hope today's information gives you some insight to what has happened at a very high level, but we are looking prior to that last report, any input you have based upon what you see here today and what you would like to see in that final report for the 2017 legislative session. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Currently, I have Vice Chair Burke Bigler signed in.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On SB 462, I'm already receiving requests for people to let them know how we're going to do this. I know it goes into effect, I think, July 1. So for those of you who are unaware of what SB 462 is, it's the second one on the first page, but it authorizes county commission to create a committee to review general improvement districts. And I'm receiving requests from people wanting to know how they get on the committee. And I've explained to everybody that so far no plans have been set, but if we could, Mr. Rogers, if we could sit down and at some point in the not too distant future and talk about this and how we're going to go about putting it into effect, I would appreciate it.
Certainly, Commissioner Burke Bigler, through the chair, we will certainly do that. There are some nuances within this in terms of the formation of the committee. It will involve a public process to get involved and also involve our state senators and assemblymen.
Correct.
Mr. Rogers, I had asked as well, in regards to the flood management bill, that current piece of legislation does call for a working committee to discuss how that, so kind of get a little bit more detail in regards to what those appointments are going to look like. We know who the members are going to be. I know Washoe County has an appointment to that said working group according to the legislation, but kind of get a little bit more detail about those timelines as well, if we can, in that July report. So looking for some information there. But obviously, and currently, an overarching fiscal impact that the county is going to incur in regards to changes from the entire session. So if we can look at that, you or Mrs. Rodriguez could bring that forward to us, that would be great.
Will do.
Okay. I'm going to open public comment at this time. I have one member signed in, Mr. Cliff Lowe.
And Mr. Chairman, for the record, Mr. Lowe provided me with a document which I'll distribute to the board.
Great, thank you, Madam Clerk.
No, I will right now.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lowe.
Good afternoon, Chairman Lucy. I have not rehearsed what I have to say, so I realize it may not fit in the 3 minutes, but I would mention that based on previous experience, you have the option of asking a question to hear what else I have to say. Also, I'm not going to name specific commissioners' names, not because I think any commissioner has anything to be embarrassed or ashamed, but when you name commissioners, it seems to be adversarial, and I certainly don't want to appear to be adversarial at this time. I do want to take you back to your May 23rd meeting when you were discussing this very same agenda item, and just kind of summarize where things were. Mr. Rogers presented the matrix, and paraphrasing, he just said he wasn't aware of any reason to change positions on any of the bills. And one commissioner chose to urge the commission to change its position on AB 379. from neutral to support. AB 379 is the bill that permits cities and counties permits them to form districts for taking care of parks. At that discussion, the commissioner, and I've listened to the tape numerous times, stated, and this is a direct quote, the general improvement districts would only be enacted if people voted 50% plus one to tax themselves. That statement was inaccurate at the time, and it is inaccurate at this point in time. No one corrected that commissioner. Perhaps no one else was aware that that was an inaccurate statement. Perhaps Mr. Rogers didn't know, or perhaps he simply thought it was imprudent to correct the commissioner in that regard. The only correction was made was that they were not GIDs. The fact of the matter is that the bill never required a vote of the public to establish one of these districts. Wow, am I running out of time? That presentation was followed by a unanimous vote of the people, of the commissioners present, for nothing to change to support. Only you can know yourselves, if you had known that a vote was not required to establish one of these districts, whether you would have voted that way, and one can only guess what effect your change to support had on the Senate to adopt that bill, and ultimately the governor to sign it. Fast forward to June 5th, when another commissioner appeared on a syndicated program and chose to bring up AB 379, and to paraphrase, had some concerns about the bill, and this is a quote, talked about the possibility that it could be considered as taxation without representation. And I'm never going to make it here in 3 minutes. So I guess I'll cut off right now, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
But I can come back.
Yes, you may. All right, seeing no further public comment, I'll bring it back to the board. Any further discussion at this time in regards to the item? All right, seeing none, I think you've got plenty of direction, Mr. Rogers. All right, that takes us to item 27, Mr. Manager.
Mr. Chair, item 27 is our regular monthly update, discussion update pursuant to Commissioner's previous requests to staff and/or topics for future agendas. And Mr. Rogers is here on this item as well, I believe. Should have that report, the monthly dashboard.
Mr. Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, again, Al Rogers for the record. We have followed the typical template format, initiating with our update on primary requests that you see, who they're assigned to. Our monthly dashboard in terms of commissioner requests, we're now at 137 requests, and you can see the breakdown by district and also by those that are completed and still active, followed by the matrix that shows each of your issues in terms of who it's assigned to, the subject matter expert, management analyst, and also the status of said request. Again, this is a moment in time. I will always remind you of that. Certainly, we will continue to update these, and if there's any one that's of particular interest, certainly want to discuss those. We also include the 90-day working calendar that we continue to add to. I will tell you that looking out 90 days, it's nice to have a crystal ball, but we don't know a lot coming, so that's why you see some of those TBDs and not a lot of information. But certainly we want to prep you as much as we can in that 30 or 60-day window indicated by that. We did add one page to this month's report, the planning and development highlights. We felt we could inform you with some of the items that are coming to the Planning Commission or that have been to the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment that may be coming your way. Just as a reminder, those that are coming through in terms of submittals of applications through Planning and Development. And then wrapping up with WASHO 311, we continue to refine and give reports on various questions and service calls that we get throughout Washoe County and provide them to you by district and also by volume. You can see that we had quite a few in CSD this last 30 days, but we also continue, and again, it's cyclical in some cases, with the assessor and with treasurers as we approach property tax, that we get a lot of questions on those. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or direction for future reports.
Commissioner Herman.
Just because it's late and everything, everybody's tired, I'm just gonna bug you about two things. Number one, I would like to know exactly when the date would be for the discussion on the CAB meetings. And I'd kind of heard a rumor about it being in July.
Through the chair to Commissioner Herman, I can answer that directly now, and I can give you a more definitive date. There will be a CAB, which is really couched under an overall update of constituent services program that is on the agenda for June 27th. So our next business meeting.
The second one, do you have any idea when the issue will come on the agenda regarding members of GIDs and CABs at the same time? Whether there should be a limitation on that, like there is for commissioners?
Thank you again, Commissioner Herman, through the chair. That request, we will be following up this week with a memo. I believe it was initiated by Commissioner Burke-Bigler. We can answer that question in terms of status quo of that question that you asked of GID members being on other boards. We can certainly provide that memo to you this week, and we'll look for direction if you'd like to see that modified in code. If we do, it is in code. If we'd like to see that modified, you could indicate that at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman. Anything further from any of the other commissioners at this time? Seeing none, bring that back. Oh, actually, I do have one thing to add to that, Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, the one thing I wanted to, I do like the addition of the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment meeting in the back. All I would ask for that is that on those items, kind of where they fall within that timeline, it discusses what district impacts, who the applicant is, or what the title of the project, but it doesn't give any kind of brief history about where it is in the process. You know, had it failed at the Board of Adjustment or passed, or failed or passed at the Planning Commission, so that we have a little bit more point of reference, so that for each commissioner, if they want to start going and reviewing some of those documents, they can. So if we could add a little bit more of that timeline. I did have that discussion offline with staff prior, but just want to make sure that we put that on the record, that was one thing we add. And that another thing we do is that we do talk offline with all the commissioners, make sure that they are prioritizing their initiatives in regards to that work list and where those fall within a date, kind of to speak to Commissioner Herman's request, kind of, so we know where that's going to be. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you so
Chairman.
much.
We will continue to make that happen with all the commissioners in terms of setting aside that brief time, just so that we can make sure that we're communicating and hearing your priorities.
No, it's wonderful, and it does help us tremendously in regards to the information and prioritizing our ability to know what's coming up, so that because we have so many topics that we cover, it helps us tremendously. So thank you, and thank you to staff for all the time you've put into that, because it is a tremendous tool. So, all right. Seeing no further, we will open item 28, public comment. Mr. Manager.
Item 28 is public comment. Comment heard on this item is limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. Commission also hears public comment during individual action items, with comment limited to 3 minutes per person, and comments are to be made to the commission as a whole.
All right. Hey. I have, excuse me, hold on. I have quite a few signed in for public comment. First, I have Miss Leona Gallar. She doesn't seem to be here. So I also have Miss Kathy Brandhorst, who's no longer in attendance. Next, I have Mr. Danny Cleus. Mr. Cleus.
Danny Cleus for the record. I just want you to know, our commissioner for our district, we don't blame you. Actually, we blame the rest of you. We know Jeannie has been out there helping us or trying to help us. So we don't blame you one bit. Another thing about the Truckee or the Tahoe walk and bike path, it is great that you guys, the commissioners, brought your resources together. Now I just wish you guys would do that to solve Lemon Valley's problem. Bring your resources together, fix the problem. Another one I have, there's a $38 million bond on Swan Lake. This was brought to my attention. It came about in 2000. We're wondering where that money went and if it could be used to fix our problem. Another one I have, it was brought to my attention that I might have misspoke earlier. I don't think I did, but I might have. A person from social services said I was going to get kicked out of my house at the end of the month or end of August. I was referring to the people that are displaced right now that were going to get kicked out in August, not me. I'm staying in my house. It's a wreck, but I'm still going to stay there until I can rebuild my house. That will be the only time I will be leaving my house. With that said, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cleus. Next, I have Mrs. Tammy Holtstill.
Tammy Holt, still for the record, talking about some miscommunication that has been put out there. What you see before us, there are, the four of us that are here are part of the Lemon Valley Committee Board. I understand by your PIO for social services, there is another person out there that is trying to be the Lemon Valley spokesperson, but has not come to us, and they're asking for things or demanding things that they, from what I understand, they are not entitled to. What we are asking for as the Lemon Valley Recovery Committee is to, number one, assist those residents that are displaced out of their homes, assist them get back into it. Number two, recover Lemon Valley back to pre-disaster condition. Also, not to make improvements, but to repair the disrepair that has not been done in our district. Let's see, number four, we, like I said before, are trying to work with you. We are searching for grants. We are definitely working with Commissioner Herman, and we are going to be a voice, and we are going to stay here. We want everybody's attention on this because it is important that everybody's paying attention to what some of us are saying. So we are looking forward to working together. We want action. We need action. There's only 4 more months to winter. 4 more months before water. And maybe you don't have water around your home, and maybe you don't care, but maybe you should because you have people in your district. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Ms. Donna Robinson.
Donna Robinson for the record, and as you are very well aware, I am a red tagged home out there. I do not live in my home. My first home I ever purchased, the home I put my blood and sweat into. I want to say Jeannie's comments earlier where she felt that she's failed us, we don't feel that way. She's worked very hard to help us. Chairman Lucy, you were out there in the beginning. I invite the other 4 commissioners, come stay in my house. No, not just come out and look. Come see and be in my house where you can't stand the smell, where you wonder, how am I going to get this fixed? Yes, I know you've all been out there and you've driven around and whatnot. Come see our homes. Come see what we're dealing with on a one-on-one. I invite all of you to come out and see exactly firsthand. Come live in my house for a month. From January 5th when the first flood hit to March 13th, I lived in my home that had 10 inches of water underneath it. I lost my water and my sewer. My 75-year-old mother and I camped in my house until arrangements were made. Thank you for getting us temporary housing. I appreciate that. And I am working with social services that was brought to my attention today. They came down and spoke to us again about more temporary housing. So, but come out there. It's not going away. It just snowed on Peavine in the foothills out there yesterday. The water is not going away. We need to come together and work together. Not just our committee and Jeannie, but all the board. It's a problem. Let's fix this problem so we know. I know it's not something that, it's been a long-term problem. You probably weren't holding your seat then, but you are now. You're our voice. You need to come out, pay attention to us, and please see firsthand, one-on-one. Come talk to the residents, not just one here and there. Come see me. I'll be happy to show you what my house is going through. I know Danny will take you through a tour. How about the people on Pompeii? We'll be happy to take you through the sludge to see their homes. Just show us that you have not lost interest or are tired of hearing about us, because we're your constituents too. We're part of Washoe County, and we are asking for your help, and we're not going away anytime soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Next I have is Mr. Garth Elliott.
Chairperson Lucy, Commissioners, great morning, great afternoon. I decided to break out the watermelon shirt, even though, like we just heard, it's snow on Peavine, but let's hope that all your watermelons are sweet and juicy, okay? Quite a morning full of water in Lemon Valley and smoke in Spanish Springs. Real proud of you. Kind of figured it was going to go the way it was. But I want to kind of refresh the people that were here this morning that were so down on medical marijuana and the evils. I heard a new one today, increased graffiti. I hadn't heard that one before, but that's a new one. And I heard about 24 evils that would befall community once they embraced marijuana to any extent. We have two, as you know, two in Sun Valley. We actually invited a second one. And no, we don't have increased graffiti, and no, we don't have people laying around intoxicated with marijuana, and no, to the other traffic issues, you can't even tell they're there. And that just as I thought would be the case. You can't even tell that both establishments are even there. But in the meantime, what are they doing? They're providing a very valuable service, just like any pharmacy would, to people that desperately need the remedies that medical marijuana provide. Now, I have two in my household that have medical cards, and it's very beneficial to them. What else does it do? Well, this weekend, or in a week or two actually, we're having a cleanup in Sun Valley of flammables, bushes and things like that. But the two marijuana establishments are contributing thousands of dollars to getting dumpsters for Sun Valley. Thousands of dollars they're providing. It wouldn't be there. It definitely wouldn't be there due to the fire department, even though they're helping, and it wouldn't be there due to the county. Due solely because we embraced two medical marijuana establishments into our area. Again, no ill effects whatsoever. It's made it very convenient to the people. We have a large amount of people that are older and aging, and it would otherwise be on opiates. In fact, with my back issues, and you know about my back issues, you've seen me saunter up to this for 20 years now and kind of doing this and that and kinked over. I'm even considering getting away from, as one speaker said, Western medical opiates and things like that. I've run across two people in the last couple of days that have had 3 people die because of opiates. Well, no one's ever died because of medical marijuana. Thank you. We'll leave everything else. Have a great.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Mr. Cliff Lowe.
For the record, Cliff Lowe, and I guess I get to finish up pretty close to my earlier comments. Regarding AB 379 and for review, AB 379 empowers any city or county statewide to create a separate quasi-municipal parks, trails, and open space district. And each district has its own board of trustees with the authority to create a new separate revenue stream by imposing legally enforceable fees, special assessments, and/or property taxes. On May 23rd, this commission voted unanimously to support this bill after hearing incorrectly that these districts could not be formed unless there was a majority vote in favor. The handout that I asked the clerk to distribute is an excerpt of the bill, and section 10.4 reads, and never read any differently, and I've looked back, at any time it talked about any kind of vote, it said, any ordinance creating a district may require that the creation of the district is only effective upon approval by a majority of voters who live within the boundaries of the district in the next general election. That happened on May 23rd. On June 5th, as I mentioned, the commissioner appeared on a program and did state that she was not and could not speak for the commission as a whole, but brought the possibility that creation of a district, certainly without a vote, could be taxation without representation. Later in the day on June 5th, the governor signed the bill, and the bill becomes law on July 1st. You, as a commission, are on record in support of this bill, perhaps because you thought that it required a vote. So I believe that your constituents, perhaps at the meeting when you have the legislative roundup sometime in July, I think that you each have 3 questions to answer for your constituents. Those questions are, will you, as the county commission, will you consider setting up one of these districts? Is that why you voted in support of it? Do you actually have it in mind to actually set up one of these parks districts with its own separate revenue stream, its own operations, a whole nother separate entity that reports to the state, just like the county does? If, or perhaps when, the city of Reno approaches the county and asks for an interlocal agreement to set up one of these parks districts, perhaps for that linear river park that has been discussed, that would likely, the people would like to see it include both the county and the city, will you entertain that? And lastly, if at any time you ever consider one of these parks districts, will you only do so if it is submitted to a vote, a popular vote? Will you require that it be voted upon the people who are going to be taxed, and that there is no taxation without representation? I hope you'll take that up soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. All right, seeing no further public comment, I'll bring it back to the board. We are on to item 29. Mr. Manager.
Item 29 are commissioners and county manager announcements, reports, updates, requests for information, or topics for future agendas.
All right, Commissioner Herman.
I was wondering if we might check out that $38 million bond and find out if that was in fact something that happened and what we're going to do about it, if that's the case. So just that question.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Herman. A couple things. One thing I do want to discuss that was brought up earlier today that I did not have an opportunity to talk about on the agenda item. I do want to have a kind of a report on signs for MME facilities in regards to our sign ordinance. You know, there's one that does irritate me tremendously, but it has we have no impact or that it falls within the city of Reno. It's the Bloom sign as you're driving down the 395 corridor heading north. It says "Wake up and bloom," and things that I don't feel should be advertised. But then I need to find out that we have some jurisdiction in our ordinance to prevent said, said type of facilities or whatever. So that's what I'd have a report on that. Another thing, a fire camp. A number of commissioners here did participate and offer funds to fund fire camp for Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District. That fire camp got underway this morning, and the kids will be camping tonight in the Galena Creek Park at Camp Weechimi, and be participating today and tomorrow in camp activities, fire camp activities throughout the week. So big thank you to Commissioner Birkbigler and also Commissioner Hartung for their contributions to fire camp so that these young kids within our community can participate in such a neat activity. And one final thing that I didn't bring up this morning is that Reno Tahoe RSCVA just did our first brand launch of our new brand, the new Reno Tahoe logo with brand. So it was phenomenal. We've got great reviews. Want to continue to support that, and it's been a long labor of love that we've been working on for the last couple of years and finally come to fruition. So very excited about the new brand. If any of the commissioners want new stickers, and Commissioner Jung, I can get you one back of your car. Yeah, got it for your car. But other than that, I have nothing else. Mr. Manager, anything from you?
I do have a couple items, just announcements on some other events happening. It is Flag Day tomorrow.
Correct.
The district court is sponsoring several events during this week. Tomorrow, I believe, at 5:30 p.m., a Flag Day ceremony. I believe, Mr. Chair, you're involved in that event.
Yes, I am.
It's at 5:30 at the downtown courthouse. And then on Friday at noon, I'll be involved in an event for Flag Day week where we will be collecting flags for retirement. So if anyone has a flag that is no longer serviceable, they can bring it downtown at noon, the courthouse, and those will be accepted. And then later on, will be properly retired.
Very cool.
I also wanted to mention our Walk with Washoe series has started. We had our first hike last week, June 6th, at Keystone Canyon. Next week, June 20th, we hike Mayberry Park to DeRoscar. These events are set up on Tuesdays to introduce the public to county parks, get out and get some exercise. It's a great event. These are typically very short hikes, so they're actually very friendly for kids to come along as well. So just wanted to mention that series has begun.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. All right. Seeing nothing further, we are adjourned, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.